Tansei, welcome to Metis Minute, your source for Metis news in Region 7. Welcome back to Metis Minute. I am your host, Samantha Loney. Region 7 is in full swing for preparations for the annual General Assembly that is being hosted in the historic Georgian Bay Métis community, taking place in Penetanguishene. Penetanguishene is home to many Métis citizens. In fact, Region 7 is home to over 25% of the Métis citizens in the Métis Nation of Ontario. The AGA is less than a week away. It takes place August 15th to 18th, and it's going to be a great moment for people from all across the province to come in and celebrate not only the Métis community in Region 7, but all of the Métis Nation of Ontario. But since we're going to be inviting guests to our region, we wanted to take a moment to celebrate all the amazing things that we here at Metis Minute and Simcoe Community Media have been able to capture. As you may have noticed from a variety of our episodes, we here at Metis Minute love to celebrate art. Art is a huge component of Métis culture. It's how we communicate with each other and how we celebrate who we are. We wanted to take a moment to give you some highlights from the Métis artists we were able to talk to over the past couple of months. We were able to attend the Kushkapai Métis Art Council's Gravenhurst stop on their art crawl, along with going to the opening of the Gifts of Georgian Bay at Penetanguishene Centennial Museum.
Hi, I'm Patty Belanger. This is my art. I'm here at the Muskoka Discovery Center for this beautiful art crawl at the Kushkapai Art Crawl that's happening here. This is our first one, and we're really very excited to be here. My art is acrylic on canvas. It's called pointillism, and it depicts different scenes of what comes from my heart, from my ancestors. So as you'll see, this one's called The Voyagers. I have different ones. One of my ancestor here, Silence, and the reason that I started doing this type of pointillism art is because I feel like it sort of meshes better with the whole Métis beading and stuff, which I'm also a beader, so it just kind of flowed from there. And so I've been making creations trying to sort of depict beading in a way. So last year I went to the AGA in Ottawa, and that was when I first heard about the Kushkapai Art Council, and that was when it was introduced, and I was like, I have to be involved with this because it just spoke to me so much, and to see the artists there and all the beautiful things that they did, and it just resonated so much with me. And so right away when I got home, I found George Simard and friended him on Facebook, and it's just been going from there. So I'm grateful to be part of the Kushkapai Art Council. And I'm hoping going forward that I'll be able to be more involved and to bring art out of our community to the world and get artists out there.
Basically, this is my first beading project. I did this 3 years ago. I did it like a patchwork because the coat's so nice. I didn't want to ruin the coat. So what I did is I beaded patches on here, right? And then I sewed the patches onto the jacket just in case I ever wanted to take the beadwork off the coat and put it on another garment. I did this a couple years ago. It basically tells my life story of going through the residential home system. I've been doing Indigenous artwork and beadwork since 1974. I used to do plaques out of barn board, and then I used to use Indian ink to draw the designs on it.
So my name is Marg Rayner from Georgian Bay community, and I've been doing this kind of beadwork for about 10 years now. I started off going to a workshop led by somebody that had been a student of mine. So the tables were turned. I learned basic beading, how to put the beads on paper. And it evolved into much more. I've learned recently that repetitive motion is an antidote for trauma and stress. And I really started picture beading when I went to do a master's program, and I was driving every week and coming home exhausted, but I loved it. And it would wake me up in the middle of the night. This is the one I did just before COVID. With every piece, I would learn something new. So it's been an exciting journey, and what I found is that I haven't found anybody else doing the same thing. So it seems to be distinct. This one here also is an image of the petroglyphs at Peterborough. So, like I said, every piece there's something new, so it's exciting. That one picture I showed of my grandfather, it felt like it gave me permission. You know how you've got your feet in two worlds as a Métis, in the white settler world and in the indigenous world, and who are you, right? As a Métis, you straddle both. So that photograph there of my grandfather, it was like it gave me permission to own something that I knew was in my family. It changed everything.
Another event that we were able to capture was the Barrie South Simcoe Métis Council's youth camp. We were able to host a media workshop where we handed our cameras over to Métis youth to interview Métis knowledge holder Darlene Lent.
Hi, my name's Emerson, and what's your name?
My name is Darlene Lent. I'm from the Moon River catchment area.
Can you please tell me about these snowshoes and how were they made?
These snowshoes are used mostly by trappers, and the material that they use is ash. It's a very strong material, but we're running out of ash now because of the emerald ash borer. But anyway, this is the natural material from animals that they use. And then this is the leather, and they use it for beaver trapping because it's easier to walk around in the bush. You don't have the long tail hanging from it. It's rawhide. That's what they use. Okay.
Can you, what animals do, the traps, catch?
Okay, so this is called a 330 conibear trap, and they're a kill trap. They will kill the beaver very quickly. They're very humane traps, and these here. Okay, so this...
You don't want to put your finger in there because then you'll get trapped.
You don't want to put your finger in here, but right now this is in the closed position, so you can't get hurt from this. So this is the trap setter, and you would put it here. I'll just show you. I'll give you a little demo. We're not going to do it, but this is a trap setter, and that goes there. And see that spring? How it comes together. So that engages the trap. This here, this is the spring, this is the dog. So what happens is when these are set, this opens up so we can set this. So what happens is the beaver will swim in and it'll get caught on this and it'll set the trap off, and then they're dispatched fairly quickly. So that's the beaver trap. And this one is a smaller one. It's a 220. That's just the size. And it's used for fisher, smaller fur-bearing animals. And when you're putting these traps together, you use a safety so that if perchance it went off, it wouldn't completely close on your hand, and this will keep it shut until you've got it in the ground and where you want the animal to come. Okay, and these are just two. There are many other ways of trapping animals as well, but for the bear and most of the larger fur-bearing animals, these are the traps that we use.
Can you only use them underwater? Can you use them
No, these can be used on land. The beaver one, mostly you would put in the water because that's where they live. You would set these traps in front of on their lodges in front of the opening where they swim in. They have runways onto the shoreline, and you would set them there. So that's another place. But these ones here, for the other animals, like say the fisher, these are put in boxes. And you mount them in trees. So they're up on dry land. These are on dry land completely. But the beaver is a little bit of a different animal.
It's on. Can you please tell me about the porcupine quills and how did you get them?
Alrighty. Well, most of the time, porcupine quills are just found on the side of the road because they are a very slow-moving animal and they get hit by cars. I've obtained all my porcupine quills. They were trapped because they were at a friend's house and they were damaging their house. They like to eat wood and they were damaging the house. So that's where mine all came from. But a lot of people who are looking for porcupine quills, they'll just drive along the highway and they see, the dead animals on the side of the road. And then you can harvest the quills from them. So when you're harvesting the quills, they have a barb on the end of the quill. This is the part that would go into the animal. It's got the little cuticle, so it would go into the animal. And this is the part that's on the outside. This is where you're going to get hurt. So it's like a fishing hook at the end. It's a very, very tiny barb. But when it goes in, it doesn't want to come out again. And I've had them caught in my hands, and they are extremely painful. So these poor animals that get a muzzle full of them, they are in extreme, excruciating pain. So what I do is I wear gloves, and I have pliers, and it doesn't really matter where you start. I usually start above the tail, and I just continually to take them out. And I put them into a big bucket, and then after that's all done, you have to soak them in warm, soapy water. I use Dawn soap. It gets...
Because they have smell like the poison on it?
It's not poison. They're just very, very dirty. They're very greasy. They have a lot of oil on the shaft of this, and then they get a lot of dirt on it. So there's no poison, really. The only reason you'd get an infection from this is because it's lodged in your skin and say it broke off in there. But it doesn't have a poison on the barb, other than it hurts. And porcupines do not throw their quills. You literally have to grab the animal. You literally are putting your face, if you touch it, or the dogs, they come to bite, and they get all the quills in their mouths and on their snouts. That's because they're going in, they're afraid, and they're trying to attack the animal. He will not throw, he can't throw quills. They move their tail, but I think that's a scare tactic more than anything, but they do not throw their quills, so yeah. Did you want to touch that? It's here. No, I'll hold it, and you can just touch the top part.
I don't want to touch it because then
Are you afraid?
Yeah.
Okay. See? If I did it really, really hard and it went in, but you can feel it. It is a little sharp at the end, but if we had a magnifying glass, you can see there's a tiny, tiny barb on the end. Okay.
I just have one more question about the Pokemon. Like, how old do they get? Do like they have when they get born? Do they have the quills when they get born?
first born, they're still very soft, but it only takes a matter of a few hours, a few days, and you can actually touch a little tiny baby, and they have quills. So they have to protect themselves very early in life. So yeah, they're very soft when they're first born, and then that doesn't. I can't be positive. I can't remember, but it's not very long that the quills do harden up and they get the barbs in there because they have to protect themselves, right? So it's very quick process.
Okay, now we're gonna go on to we're gonna talk about the medicine. Like, do they heal fast or slow? Like, does some medicine like help, or does it
Well, there are a lot of medicines that Indigenous people use. The four sacred medicines that I brought here today are more for ceremony than for actual healing. Plantain is one of the medicines that grows probably in your yard right now, and it's used for healing. The cedar, though, is a healing plant for sure. We would take the cedar and break it into small little pieces like this. You never use the actual stem or bark of the tree. You just use the cedar, and you break it into tiny, tiny pieces. And then when you get a good handful, like about that size, you would put it in a pot on the stove and put about 2 to 3 cups of water in it. And then you let that simmer. And when that's simmering, the color will come out. It'll get a yellow, greeny color. So when it gets quite dark with color, that's when it's ready to drink. And it's a really, really good medicine for a bad cold. Natives never got scurvy because cedar is full of vitamin C. So if you would take a cup of that, and you can't have it every day. Say every other day is a good time because it will react to you if you have too much of it. But if you have a cup of cedar, say every other day, it's full of vitamin C, and it'll really help with a bad cold, with breathing. If you have asthma, you can you can put it in a pot, put a towel over your head, and inhale it that way. So this is a medicine for healing. These other medicines we have are really for ceremony. So the sweetgrass is the hair of Mother Earth, and this is sage, and that's another cleansing. And we have tobacco. So I grill this tobacco at home, and then I dry it out. So it comes big, big leaves, and then I dry it out, and you grind it all up into little bits. So then we would put it in our smudge pot, and we would start this to burn, and we use this for ceremony. So when it's burning, then you would smudge each individual in the group, and it would get rid of your negativity. It would put positive thinking in the group. Your eyes will see the beauty of the world. Your ears will hear all the good things there are. You speak kindness, and you do your head so that you can learn all that's good and be open-minded to hearing other people's point of view.
And then heart.
So, and your heart for cleansing as well, to be kind to people. So that's part of the smudging ceremony, to get rid of negativity and to put us all in a good place. So that's our sacred medicines. And that's a turkey feather, which I use. Most people do. And that's, I think, about everything I have on the 4 sacred medicines.
If you are interested in media, podcasting, or journalism, Simcoe Community Media, in partnership with the Metis and Me program, will be hosting a workshop at the Barrie South Simcoe Metis Council August 24th from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. At this workshop, you will be able to get your hands on some audio and video equipment and learn how to shape stories in our community. There will also be free food for those who come out. We encourage any citizen in Region 7 to come down to the Barrie office and learn more about how you can share your stories from our community. Speaking of sharing stories from our community, we were able to sit down with Barrie South Simcoe Métis Council citizen Marie Francis. As you know, Region 7 is building affordable housing for its citizens up in Midland, and we were able to sit down with Marie to discuss how we can make sure these houses are accessible to all.
I would suggest, perhaps a little boldly, that for my generation, so for millennials, and for those younger than us, for a lot of us, the way we're doing housing in Canada has failed us. A lot of people cannot get into the housing market. Affordability is a huge issue. It's very, very hard for my generation to find a place to live, to rent, to raise a family. A lot of people aren't having families because of this. And so I think affordability is just a housing issue. Like, that's for almost everyone is struggling. And so I think that's huge. And I think accessibility is the same. I think we're talking about affordability. We're talking about almost everyone. And I think we have to look at accessibility the same way. That it's not just those people let's make them a couple of units on the ground floor. I think we want to look at this in terms of, like, how do we conceptualize community? Who belongs? How are we going to manage that? And I think the answer is that everyone belongs, and we want to foster and physically create a community that reflects, particularly for us Métis people, that reflects our values of family. So we have more intergenerational living than other cultural communities do, and some other cultures do. And we, I think we can build housing where if something happens, people can come and live together. Grandma can come and visit for Christmas, or Prepare can come and live with his children if something happens. I think we want to create housing where the moment something goes wrong, you get an automobile accident, it's not a crisis. I think everyone, whether they're aware of that or not, needs accessible housing, wants accessible housing. You don't want to have, my mayor show up for Christmas and say, oh darn it, where did we put the plywood? We've got to get a ramp up here. I guess maybe you can just sit on the driveway and we'll bring you out some mashed potatoes. I don't think that's the culture we're trying to create. I think we want to have people anticipated, welcome, and integrated into whatever we do.
You can catch that full interview with Marie Francis in our Métis Minute playlist if you'd like to head over there and check it out. Another event that we were able to capture was our visit to the Owen Sound Fish Fry. This year marked the 20th anniversary of the fish fry. We were able to sit down with Pete Couture, the former president of the Great Lakes Métis Council, who started this fish fry and great community event.
It's just more or less to show people how we lived off the land and stuff, you know what I mean? To get out there that we're not just taking stuff and not putting it back. We want stuff here for their grandkids and their great-grandkids. So I thought, okay, then I'm going to start some. But it wasn't fish then, it was hot dogs and hamburgers. I bought out of my own pocket and I started. At the start we had maybe 15, 20 people, and now some of the stuff we got over 300 out of it. Because people come and see what's going on, and we get more people all the years coming. And a lot of times the same ones come back every year. But it's just it's just to show people, you know, how we can get along with other people. And that's why I got nuclear waste here and the game wardens, and the people see how we work together with them. It's not like, you know, you got to hide behind the trees. You know? Everything's out in the open now, and I want them to stay out in the open and just treat them like you want to be treated. The reason I wanted it down here was because of my great-grandfather used to own all this. And they kind of, it's in a book, it's in my file, that says how they bought, this McLaughlin guy bought it off him for $5. And they kicked my uncle out after my grandfather passed away. They left him stay here until he died, which he did. There's a picture of the old house. That's Tom Thompson's art gallery in Owen Sound. If you go in and ask them, they'll show you the picture, because I think it's put away somewhere in there. It's not up on the wall or whatever, but you just ask and they'll show it. And it's just, people recognize, like, you know, what we're all about. Because you go, and even the mayor of Owen Sound didn't know a whole lot about Metis, but he said, I can tell you all about Tom Thompson. And I said, well, I can tell you something about Tom Thompson you don't know. Oh, I don't know. He says, I read a lot of stuff. I said, yeah. But I said, back in the day, my family used to have rowboat races out here in the bay. And he used to race against my uncles and them, and he never ever won a race. But he went, oh, I didn't know that. No, I told you the stuff you don't know. But you have to find out more about the Metis, you need to go to them. Not what you hear in a coffee shop or from somebody else. Because there's too much bickery or whatever you want. I don't know. I'm not a great word guy or nothing, because I'm not a good college person. Everything I know is what I grew up with. You know, living off the land. My family has been in Owen Sound area here over 300 years. So that's why I want recognition. I have a plaque in town that says the Mudtown family's of Mudtown, where I was born and raised. And I want one out here recognizing my great-grandfather. Then you have a land base. The government can't say you don't exist. What do you mean? We were right here. You know, for 300 years we've been here, so don't tell me we don't be here. Because growing up in Owen Sound, I was always told, going back down to Mudtown, you have to belong. So now I'm trying to get the mayor of Owen Sound to put a sign up by 17th Street and 3rd Ave, you're now entering Mudtown, and put one up down over here, now you're leaving Mudtown. Yeah. You know, just because there's lots of people who ask me, like, where's Mudtown? And you're in it. And then they put in stuff like that, Mudtown Brewery's in Owen Sound. So I went there one day and I said, oh yeah, we're in Mudtown Brewery. And I said, you know, you're not even in Mudtown. What? Oh, you're 3 blocks away from it. But just stuff like that, you know, like, I don't know, I don't ask for a whole pile of stuff. Like, you know, I'm getting to the age now, I'm not going to be here forever, so I got to do stuff if I want something changed is done. And if I don't do it, I can't blame nobody else. Times change, but sometimes it changes for the worst, you know. But I wish we could get more back to not the money. Like, if somebody's hungry, that's why I started the fish fry. You're going, we will know the reason why. One time we were having it down in Harrison Park, you know, and there was other people in the park. We had our little, like a band shell down, the same as this. And we had a little group there, and we were having hot dogs. And there was a little girl and a little boy standing like here to there, about 6 feet away from me, looking at the hamburgers and hot dogs. I said, are you hungry? They said, do you want one? Well, we don't got no money. I said, do you want a hamburger or a hot dog? Yeah. So I gave them one. And Buddy that was on council back then said, hey, that's $1. I said, well, don't worry about it, I'll pay the $1. You just go away. Because how can you sit there and some little kid, hungry, and you greedy and fat and stupid, as far as I'm concerned, and I just can't do it. You know, and the same thing, I was at an AGA in Midland one time, same thing, Dave DeZone was their president back then, and I did the same stupid thing. There was a couple of young kids there looking for, you know, you want one? Yeah. So I gave them one, hey, that's $1. Like, I'll give you the $1, oh, give you the $1. Then I quit helping them, I just walked away. You know, I just don't understand that. Like, I guess I was born at the wrong time, or when stuff was different. But now you see it's all about money. Like, even when I was going around, like, I take fish and meat and stuff and give out people that I knew that needed it. One lady down here in Leith, one day I had my one son with me, give her a couple of pieces of fish and I think a roasted beef or something. And she said, oh, just a minute, I'm going in the house. She went in the house, I drove away. So about a week later, one of the guys who knew me waved me over and I was down here fishing at Leith. He goes, oh, you got to go see Jane up there. She's got some money. I said, I don't want her money. Oh, yeah, well, you left it. Yeah, that was free. Just go eat it. you know, and then people got to know that about me. I don't know what we really need to do. I think we got to work with Grace Hall like I just did to get this plaque, and don't demand stuff. Go talk to them and say, look, how do we get this going? Because even with the plaque and stuff, I want to put on the plaque that we accomplished this plaque by the help of Grace Hall and the LRC branch from the M&O plus the Couture family. That should be there, that everybody can see how, because it didn't fall from the sky just when it fell down here. So, you know, just get it out there, then people can understand.
Another amazing event that we were able to attend during the last few months in Region 7 was the sash gifting ceremony for the Indigenous Patient Services at RVH. This event was a celebration and commitment to collaboration between the Barrie South Simcoe Métis Council and the Royal Victoria Hospital.
Through my own personal journey of truth and reconciliation, I continue to learn how my actions impact future and current generations. I choose to take responsibility for my own learning to better educate myself on the importance of cultural safety here at RVH and how I can support all members of Team RVH in doing the same. So we are deeply honored to host this event today and welcome members of the Barrie South Simcoe Métis Council. Creating an environment at RVH in which patients of Indigenous heritage feel safe, supported, and respected is extremely important to us. And we know that the only way to achieve it is to collaborate with Indigenous organizations in our community, following their wisdom and their guidance. RVH currently shares a letter of relationship with the with the Regional Indigenous Health Circle to work together to improve and advance healthcare, health initiatives, and system-level change with and for our First Nations, Inuit, Métis, and urban Indigenous peoples in the Simcoe-Muskoka region. We are also a Downey Wenjack Fund Legacy Space Partner. We have developed and expanded our team dedicated to Indigenous patient services. Initially for cancer patients only, we now offer culturally relevant support and advocacy for all patients and families, as well as assistance with discharge and community resources to Indigenous patients across the health center. There are many, many more steps to take on this journey, and this presentation today from the Barrie South Simcoe Métis Council marks another step forward. Although Indigenous Patient Services already works closely with the Métis Council, most recently holding events in Barrie and Midland to promote breast cancer screening for Métis citizens in this region, this SASH presentation is a symbolic expression of the relationship between our two organizations.
Hello, bonjour, Tanusi, bonsoir, good evening everyone, I'm Jeremy Scott. My spirit name is Man That Walks With Kindness. And this is Region 7 within my Métis traditional territory. I'd first like to thank everyone for taking the time to come here to this very important ceremony. It means a lot to us, and I'm sure it means a lot to you as well. For the Métis people, the sash today, it's a symbol that represents a lot of things, being identity, community, and Métis culture. But in the past, the sash was a very important tool. It was used for survival work. It was used to carry flintlocks. It was used for knives. It would brace and secure things if they were broke. It was used as a rope. It was a saddle blanket. And if you were in a snowstorm, it was very bright colored so you could see. The list goes on. So with the sash, much like the threads in the sash, all of our communities are interwoven together. We're all interwoven as a people. We all work together. When we come together and we work together, great things are accomplished and created. The sash is a symbol of our binding strength together and our relationship together. Regardless of whom we are or where we come from, we're all a thread in the sash. And when sewn together, we're unstoppable, and the strength and perseverance and love is felt. Thank you, Miigwech, merci. And could we please have Gail return? behalf of the Métis Nation of Ontario, Region 7 Métis, and the Barrie Council, and everyone here today, we would like to present RVH with this sash.
And last but not least, we were able to interview candidates for this year's PCMNO election. Of course, we'd like to congratulate Greg Garrett, our newly elected Region 7 representative, and we bring you some of our interview with him as a candidate today.
Yeah, and as we get more citizens involved in self-government, an important part of that is having them vote in this PCMNO election. So why do you think it's important for people to participate in this election and go out and vote?
Well, first, I'd like to thank you for doing these podcasts. I think for a certain select demographic of our citizenship, it works for them. We need to embrace multiple levels of communication, and this is certainly an excellent one. We don't have elders so much that may be on it, but from the tech era down, basically anybody in the last 30, 40 years is comfortable with them. And so it's a level of outreach we really didn't have before. So again, thanks for that. There are a lot of good ideas. Many have come forth through the commission hearings about 7 years ago. They were well documented. There's an executive report on the MNO's website as to what the people asked for. We need to keep the focus on the people. We need to remember what they asked for, make sure it's still what they want, and we need to continue that engagement and ensure as many voices can be heard as possible. That starts with voting for a candidate that has always been there and is willing to engage. Something I believe I have a great track record on. And, we can move forward from there. But if you can get out and vote, then you're probably one of those persons who wants to be engaged going forward as well. And that needs to be said. I think Roxanne said it very well yesterday. To get out and vote, get out and vote, get out and vote. Because it's going to show the MNO clearly that they have an engaged citizenship.
Here at Métis Minute, we are committed to continuing to bring you all the civic issues that are happening in Region 7. And although the PCMNO election is over, we do have interviews with candidates for the Métis Nation of Ontario's Women's Council. That election is happening from August 7th to 14th, and any female identifying Métis citizen above the age of 16 is eligible to vote. While we can't cover every event that is happening in Region 7, we hope these highlights were able to encourage you to participate in our community. As always, if there is an event happening in your area that you would like us to cover, you can contact us at métisandmeprogram@gmail.com. Merci for watching, and we'll see you down the river.